From Manchester United to Ferguson Club, and then to the Theatre of Nightmares. Yeah, that's the story, my friends. In short, this is the history of the most popular and strongest club in English league history. But unfortunately, this red club has become known as a graveyard for stars. It turned into a machine that takes the world's best talents and turns them into outcasts or scrap. And if you think, my friends, that I'm just ranting without reason, I'm going to tell you in this video about 10 players Manchester United finished their career but. Without further ado, the first player we can say has become raw material for mockery and memes for every football fan. That player struggled at Old Trafford, but wow, as soon as this player got on the plane and left Manchester United heading to Spain, he suddenly turned into the phenomenon Ronaldo at his peak. And I'm talking about the Brazilian, Antony, one known for his flashy moves that don't really add much. Now, you guys might not know, but Antony was the talk of European clubs while he was with Ajax in the Netherlands. Every big club in Europe dreamed of signing him. And Manchester United succeeded, with the help from the Dutchman's coach Ten Hag, to snatch him away from all the other clubs with a record deal of £85 million. Honestly, I think that's an insane amount of money, and it only gets paid to a player like this if we can say he's going to be a star who proves himself for many years. But everyone knows Manchester United's management is zero. No sense, no management, no future vision. Basically, zero in everything. The cool thing about Antony is, wow, guys, what a player. People weren't kidding at the start because in his first 3 league games, he scored against Arsenal, City, and Everton. But then, suddenly, like he got hit by the evil eye or something, he went and took Maguire's spot and became a joke. And everyone started mocking him. There's this guy saying Antony is done for, like he's clearly a flop who got swallowed up by Manchester United and won't succeed. Honestly, the club felt the same way, thinking Antony turned out like some cheap player you buy off the internet. They just wanted to get rid of him, even if it meant paying out of their own pockets. At that time, everyone was convinced, myself included, that the problem was Antony, not United. Antony had lost whatever pride he had left at Manchester United by January, so he left and hopped on a plane to Real Betis in Spain on loan. In his first 4 games there, he made 4 goal contributions and even won man of the match 3 times. They were all shouting his name. Antony! He's shouting at the top of his lungs, saying, "The problem isn't me, guys! The problem is with Manchester United!" Ronaldo was right when he said Manchester United is a club stuck in the Stone Age. And of course, Antony is just like our guy, who used to fight, hit, and run for the Red Devils on the pitch, but never got the recognition he deserved. Even when he scores in the last minutes and leads the team to a win, everyone still treats him like he's some second-rate player who's useless. The problem is, even the Manchester fans need to show some compassion. With this player, people were saying, "No, we want a better midfielder." And the Scottish soldier, Scott McTominay, alright. Scott's just holding on to whatever dignity he has left before leaving United and heading to the gang city in southern Italy for 2 reasons. Number 1, stuffing himself with pizza. And number 2, playing for Napoli. They're led by Antonio Conte, who's completely turned the Serie A tables upside down, and they're top of the league. For those who don't know, they're probably wondering what happened back then and why Scott left Old Trafford. Scott was always criticized during his years at Manchester United, no matter what he did. He was an easy target for the media and commentators. Even though McTominay came up through the academy, he always felt like he had to act a certain way. McTominay? The player whose situation changed this season with Napoli. Wow, he became a star in Conte's squad, just like the top player on today's list. The one who could solve all of United's problems with a single touch. But we're not talking about him now. Let's leave that player for the end of the video to build some suspense. But before that, let's take a little trip back in time. Let's go back to a goalkeeper who is considered one of the best in Premier League history, but funny enough, being at Manchester United could have completely ruined his career. I'm talking about American goalkeeper Tim Howard, who moved straight from the American League to United to fix their goalie crisis. This problem popped up after Danish keeper Peter Schmeichel left. United basically thought, why bring in an experienced keeper like Fabian Barthez to replace Schmeichel? But even Barthez couldn't fill those shoes. Eventually, Sir Alex Ferguson decided to take a chance on a young, talented kid who was literally a godsend because the difference in his length. Let's just put it simply. His abilities as an American player were literally legendary in every sense of the word. But unfortunately, what good are legendary skills if your coach benches you? You want to show your skills but end up warming the bench. Anyone can do that. Simply put, Ferguson relied on the Irishman Roy Carroll and the Dutchman Edwin van der Sar, and Howard was just on the bench, as we say. This goalkeeper traveled all the way from America to Manchester, and was even close to going back from Manchester to America. But suddenly, he found his place at Everton when he transferred there in 2007 to play for the second biggest club in Liverpool City. He spent a full 10 years to become one of the Premier League greats and the 9th goalkeeper with the most clean sheets in the league's history. Maybe not. I'm not 100% sure about that fact. He's the only goalkeeper to score a goal from his own half during open play, shaking the opponent's net. A truly legendary goal. I really recommend you watch it. I'll try to include it in the montage, but if I can't, just look up Tim Howard's goals. Anyway, Tim Howard wasn't the only player who escaped the torment and anger of Sir Alex Ferguson. There was another one who left Manchester United and then freed the club from a historic achievement twice in a row. So here I am, guys, talking about the Spanish defender Gerard Piqué. This Spanish defender, Gerard Piqué, left Barcelona's academy as a young guy to join Manchester United. Instead of following Fabregas's path at Arsenal, Piqué found himself stuck under Sir Alex Ferguson the whole time he was at United. Even his good spell on loan at Real Zaragoza didn't help convince Ferguson to give him more minutes at Old Trafford. In the end, Piqué decided to gather what was left of his pride and make the move back to Barcelona in the summer of 2008 from the very first season. Honestly, it felt like a Bollywood movie. Imagine Piqué decided to punish Manchester United and win the Champions League title over them at the famous Roma final in 2009. Then 2 years later, he set things up against Sir Alex Ferguson and snatched the Champions League again in 2011, turning the whole thing upside down, right in front of their home crowd in Wembley Stadium. I'm pretty sure Manchester won't like this at all. Since Piqué arrived at Barcelona, he's won more titles than Manchester United did in the past 15 years. He's also become one of the legends of both Barcelona and the Spanish national team, having won everything possible, both globally and in Europe. For sure. The problem isn't with the players, man. Honestly, I don't know. It feels like United really has an issue with their academy kids. It's like the Beckham generation became a curse for the club, and everyone expects the teenagers to be like Scholes or Giggs. The big expectations over the years have wiped out a lot of great academy players, like the academy winger who used to be a star, and the player who kept punishing United after leaving. I'm talking about Anthony Elanga here. He led Nottingham Forest in the last season race to qualify for the Champions League again. That season, Manchester United is closer to the relegation zone and playing in the Championship. Imagine Manchester United getting relegated It's not the end of the world, but it's definitely close to it. Sorry to bother you, Manchester United fans, but this is the reality. Elanga has created 8 goals in the Premier League so far, more than any other United player. And if United even thinks about selling this guy to Old Trafford, won't accept anything less than £50 million. Man, feels like every time a player leaves United, it takes some time, but then they come back and punish the club in the worst way possible. Just like our guy who got kicked out of Old Trafford and ended up being the reason we lost the Premier League in one of the saddest chapters in the club's history. I'm talking about Argentine Carlos Tevez, who never really got the respect he deserved because Ronaldo and Rooney were hogging the spotlight. Eventually, he had enough, held on to what pride he had left, and moved to our rivals and annoying neighbors, Manchester City. After that, Tevez became the league's top scorer in 2010-2011 and was one of the heroes of the famous 2012 title race that was decided at the very end in the last seconds after Aguero's goal, which could have been the moment or the loss, the last moment in Ferguson's career, but he decided to stick around for one more season to finish his career with a proper title for Man United. Then, Tevez stepped up, carrying the team spirit, getting back at Juventus, wearing the number 10 after the legend Del Piero, and leading the team to the 2015 Champions League final. But the MSN trio was a whole different story. Tevez also managed to win the Serie A title 2 seasons in a row. While all the previous players gave great performances before and after their time at Manchester United, you gotta ask yourself, what's really going on? On paper, the kind of players we had were exactly what we needed. You could say the only thing missing was a defensive midfielder. Back then, Manchester United definitely needed a player like that. We could say he was a legend, a man for the big matches and a hero in crucial moments. Someone who never let you down in any big game. But here's where I need you to convince me. How do you need a star for your project after Sir Alex Ferguson left, and then you let a genius like Angel Di Maria go after just 1 season? How, guys? If only I knew. I'll be straight with you, but this club's situation is kind of weird. Anyway, Di Maria is the guy who played in the 2014 Champions League final. He put on an amazing performance in his 10th game, then joined Manchester United for £60 million. He also took the iconic number 7 shirt, previously worn by legends like George Best, Beckham, and Cristiano Ronaldo. Everyone remembers his amazing debut goal against Kasper Schmeichel, where he went to the ground and chipped it like a true pro. But then things suddenly changed between him, the Dutch coach Louis van Gaal. Oh man, oh man, oh man. If we made a video about that, it would be something else. The weirdest coach ever, but the main thing is the change between him and Van Gaal. You see Di Maria coming back, smiling with a look that's both unclear and clear at the same time. Basically, Van Gaal loves wingers who don't dribble much. He just wants them to stretch the field, cross the ball, or if they want to dribble, fine. For Van Gaal, a winger has to beat 1-on-1, not 1-on-2 like Di Maria. So Di Maria said, "This is it. Goodbye." And after just 1 season, the Argentine decided to leave England for Paris Saint-Germain. Di Maria ended up staying there for 7 historic seasons, proving where the real issue was at Van Gaal and Manchester United when Van Gaal left, just 1 season after Di Maria left. Di Maria, after leaving United, seemed like the world suddenly smiled on him. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but maybe Manchester United is haunted or something. Anyway, after Manchester United, Di Maria always shines in finals. For example, in the Copa America, he scored the winning goal against Brazil, and also in the World Cup final, he earned a penalty and scored a goal against France in the first half. Let's find a basic rule. Anyone who dreams of making history and having personal glory with their national team has to fail at Manchester United first. And surely, we'll get reward with something. Just like our guy who was humiliatingly kicked out by Sir Ferguson in 2004, only to have the doors of heaven open for him afterward. I'm talking here about the Uruguayan Diego Forlan, one of my favorites. I really love this player. After leaving United and moving to Villarreal following that rough time, he scored a goal and ripped off his shirt, celebrating like it was the biggest moment ever. And when he got to La Liga, not only did he become the top scorer, but he did it competing against giants like the phenomenon Ronaldo and Eto'o and Raul Gonzalez. But he also won the European Golden Shoe, beating Premier League top scorers Thierry Henry and Van Nistelrooy. During his great time in Spain, Forlan won the Golden Shoe, again wearing Atletico Madrid's jersey. It was such a fantastic era for Forlan and Atletico, and I'll never forget when they won the Europa League and the European Super Cup. With Uruguay, he won the Copa America in 2011 after a 16-year drought. Plus, just a year before that, he led his national team to the World Cup semi-finals in 2010 in South Africa, a tournament where Forlan stood out above everyone else with his incredible skill controlling the Jabulani ball. United didn't just mess up in the past by letting those stars go. They actually, in a really weird way, tried to get rid of the club's future and hope for the coming years. It's like this club enjoys torturing itself. When they gave up on one of the Academy's talents who's considered one of the best wingers in the world, just because he was a media problem. Nothing else. Yeah, I'm talking about the English guy, Mason Greenwood, that dumb kid who hit his girlfriend. Or wife. I don't even know. Honestly, I haven't looked it up. The funniest thing is, after all that drama, Greenwood came back for the cute brunette girl, naturally. And they lived their lives. But the nasty English society was still mad at the player. Okay guys, explain to me why John Terry and Ryan Giggs did the worst and carried on normally, even though I doubt John Terry did anything. I really doubt that. But the strange thing here is that Greenwood, who moved to Marseille at the start of the season, actually had radical solutions for all of Manchester United's frontline problems. And until now, if you're following the French league, Greenwood alone has good record, more than any player at Manchester United. Plus, they're playing in Greenwood for one of the strongest in France right now. Sure, Marseille is a historic and well-established club, but PSG, Monaco, and even Lille are having better times and have more stable lineups. Despite that, Greenwood has managed to lead their team to second place so far, competing for a spot back in the Champions League. Meanwhile, United, despite all the money and stars, still struggling. Anyway, friends, I didn't mention number 10 in this video, just so you know. I left it for you all. Bring it on so we can see who the player is. As soon as he left Manchester United, he became a star. Write his name in the comments. Peace out!